doesn't deserve, especially if he's unwilling to work towards anything, that opportunity to hurt another little girl.
Would the offender please introduce yourself for the record, stating your name and DOC number?
Anthony Wayne Hudson, 424542.
Thank you. Let me explain the process to you. First, I will read information into the record, then the board will conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow the participants who have indicated to speak to have their input. We have two who are here in opposition. We have Ms. Ashley Bostwick, victim, who will be speaking, and we also have Ms. Tristan Morris, victim, who will also be speaking. At the end, you'll be allowed to make a brief statement before the board votes. Do you understand the process, sir?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, this is the case for Anthony Hudson, DOC number 424542, date of birth, November 7, 1950, classified as a first felony offender. Offenses: attempted aggravated rape, aggravated oral sexual battery. Sentencing date, July 3rd, 2000. Sentenced to a total of 50 years. Parole date, August 1st, 2021. Good time, February 19th, 2042. Full term, August 19, 2049. Is this information correct, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Roche.
Thank you, Ms. Teresa. Mr. Hudson, good morning.
Morning.
You're looking around the room. What are you looking for?
I'm just trying to hear.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Hudson, you currently 71 years old. Is that correct?
Yes, 71.
Yeah. And you became eligible when the state passed Act 122 last year. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, I think so.
And before that, you didn't think that you had a chance for a parole hearing. Is that correct?
Yes.
You've been incarcerated for 22 and a half years of a 50-year sentence. Is that about right?
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Hudson, tell me about the programs that you've taken since your incarceration.
I'm not taking anything. I signed up for some, but I couldn't take them because of my health.
Okay, so you don't have any good time classes?
No, none.
Well, I think some were offered to you and you refused them.
They kept offering me anger management.
Sex offender treatment also, huh?
I'm not understanding what you said.
They offered you sex offender treatment.
I don't know if they did or not.
Yeah,
I know
my record says that you refused it.
I might have.
Okay. What is your job at the facility?
I work on a job called Crew 30.
Okay, what does Crew 30 do?
I wipe poles with a rag.
Okay. Tell me about your disciplinary issues. You had a 30K in June of 2017. What was that for?
That was intimidation, I believe is what it was called. Intimidation.
Who did you intimidate?
They said I intimidated an officer.
Okay. Tell me about your transition plan.
What is that? I don't understand what that is.
Okay. where do you plan to live if released, and where do you plan to work?
I'm not going to work anywhere, and I don't have a place to live.
Okay. Have you tried to find a place to live?
Well, I've had people look, but my family's all passed away. So.
Okay. So, have you ever had a problem with drugs or alcohol?
Never.
Okay. Warden, would you like to make any comments, remarks, or observations?
Well, Anthony's been here a few years, Mr. Roche. He did refuse the sex offender training back a few years back, and then we had him in some anger management classes and one other class, but his health has gotten pretty poor, and he was back and forth to the hospital a lot, and he was kind of unable to attend those on a regular basis. So he's kind of put those off for now. But the sex offender treatment that was offered several years ago, he did in fact refuse that. He's got a good conduct record. He's got a lot of health issues and other things, but he's no problem for staff here. We're trying to get him in the program and trying to get him to participate in that, but we haven't been successful up to this point, especially on the sex offender therapy.
Thank you, Warden Goodwin. I see no other questions. Mr. Risa, would you recognize the participant?
First, we will hear from Ms. Ashley Bostwick, who's a victim.
Are they talking to me?
No.
Ms. Bostwick, would you please unmute your mic?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay, give us your statement.
I just wanted to state that Anthony has done drugs. And I've personally never tried drugs until he offered them to me and Tristan and his own daughter, Stephanie, whenever we were all 11. Now, I'm 33 years old now, and it's really hard for me to just speak for myself here because it was, me and his daughter and Tristan were all really close friends. And, we didn't understand that, what he was doing was not only manipulating us, but it was drugging us too. And, I've had issues with my family and issues with drugs and alcohol and rehabs and, a path of destruction in my life because he's introduced that to me. And not only that, but there's trauma. And I've been to so many different counselors and I've had so much counseling because of what he has done and what several other people have done as well. And, I understand. I've looked up the act and why he's even eligible for parole right now because it really upset me. I thought that, he should get the death penalty for what he's done. And that's not an overstatement. That's, I've experienced the past 22 and a half years of my life, and I've had my butt spanked, but I've never had anyone lay their hands on me until Anthony did. And I'm really disappointed that he hasn't taken any classes whatsoever to improve that kind of disease in the mind to hurt a child like that. And I think that it's just horrible, that our lives have been destroyed. And, I used to pray every Christmas to have Stephanie back as my best friend, to have Tristan back as my best friend. I didn't want anything else except to have my friends back. That's horrible. I mean, it tore my family apart. And I have a lot of family that are dead now, too. And I know exactly where his daughter is. And I know exactly, you know, that I know that she's alive. He has family alive, you know, and I understand that he might be 71 years old, but I do not understand why. I'm from Louisiana, and I do not understand why he would even be eligible for parole to be released, even in bad health, considering everything that he's done wrong. You know, and the reason why I'm on the phone today is for justice to be served for not only me, but for Tristan and for Stephanie, who didn't even show up in front of y'all to tell her part of the story, because I was there with her and I was there with Tristan and I know the story. You know, it wasn't just me and Tristan that were hurt. It was his daughter too, his own blood, his own daughter. And
Thank you,
if she's
Ms.
not going to show up, then,
Ms.
I mean, I'll put it out there.
Thank you. Ms. Teresa?
Now we will hear from Ms. Tristan Morris.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. I too am present in opposition. I also am extremely disappointed that he has refused to seek any help. And as I sat here last night to prepare this speech that I don't have, because I just feel like there's nothing that can be said that can make this right. But, you know, my life too has been affected by addiction and rehab, and I've overcome all of that through counseling and used tools that were provided to me from my family in order to heal. But, you know, there's one thing that can't be healed, and that is the fact that I will never be able to have children because of what this man did to me. You know, and I just don't. I would hate for him to get out. If he can have sexual intercourse and harm his own child, much less her 10 and 11-year-old friends, I don't doubt that he would prey on another child. And the fact that he has done nothing to try to amend this with himself is just validation that he is obviously extremely sick and he doesn't want help. And I'm not here to play God. I'm just here to tell my part. And I just think that he doesn't deserve, especially if he's unwilling to work towards anything, that opportunity to hurt another little girl.
Thank you, Mrs. Morse.
Now, you guys know, if you haven't by now, that I'm nosy and I had to figure out the details. So I did a bit of research and I found out exactly what happened. So apparently his young daughter invited her friends over for a sleepover. However, following one of the sleepovers, the parents of one girl became concerned because she smelled of cigarettes and alcohol. Upon further questioning, the girl subsequently admitted to being provided alcohol and cigarettes in exchange for oral and vaginal. She also reported that this happened several times. He pled guilty in order to reduce his charges of aggravated rape and 2 counts of aggravated oral sexual battery. He was sentenced to 50 years hard labor for the first charge of aggravated rape and then 10 years for the aggravated oral sexual battery. This sentence was set to be served as concurrent. However, he sent his case to the Court of Appeals, stating that he's not the worst criminal and that the children had fabricated the story. He also appealed that the court did not take into consideration his lack of criminal history, his mental condition, and the lack of physical harm to the victims. However, the Court of Appeals did not find any mitigating evidence that he even had a mental condition. And I just wanted to put in there as a side note that just because you never committed a crime on paper doesn't mean that you will never commit a crime. I just never understood why people even take that into consideration. Crimes are committed every day. They just don't get caught. Anyway, so the Court of Appeal had affirmed the district court's ruling, stating that there was no constitutional error, and through his plea, he received a substantial reduction in leniency on his sentence. They also said that his egregious criminal acts has caused irreparable psychological damage to the victims. And so now we find ourselves here witnessing him trying to get an early release and taking no accountability for what happened. Let's watch.
Ms. Teresa, do we have any more speakers?
No, sir.
Mr. Hudson,
Yes,
would you like to make a brief closing statement?
no, sir, I have nothing to say.
Is the panel ready to vote? I will vote first. To Ms. Morse and to Ms. Boswick, we have heard your plea. We understand that you're still physically, mentally, and emotionally affected by this crime today. And we understand that your life is much different than it should be because of Mr. Hudson. And we thank you for your participation today. Mr. Hudson, based upon victim opposition, based upon the entire legal community, the judge, the DA's office, the sheriff's office, chief of police, based upon a lack of rehabilitative programs, my vote is to deny your request. Mrs. Wise.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to appreciate the courageous young ladies that came forth today. I really appreciate your courage. Mr. Hudson, my vote is the same for the same reasons already been stated on the record, to deny.
Mr. Marabella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I echo the words of Ms. Wise. I believe that the victims were very courageous in being here today and speaking up. Mr. Hudson, you've just, it's as much as I would like to see you get some relief because of your age and other factors, I just can't do it. I just cannot do it. You refused sex offender treatment, which is critical for you to really understand what you've done. I don't think you get what you've done to these young women. And my vote today is likewise the same as Mr. Roche and Ms. Wise, is to deny.
Thank you, Mr. Marabella. Mr. Hudson, you have received 3 votes to deny your request. Your request for early release has been denied. You have a good day.